When you think of pirates, you probably imagine treasure, battles, adventure, maybe even the bit of rum-fueled partying. But there's one thing the movies never show you: what they actually ate. And let me tell you, it wasn't pretty. The truth is, life aboard a pirate ship might have seemed free and wild, but when it came to food, it was disgusting, dangerous, and in some cases, deadly. Forget roasted meat and overflowing platters. Pirates didn't eat like kings. They ate like desperate men clinging to survival. Meals weren't something to enjoy. They were something to endure. Let's start with the basics. Pirates didn't have refrigerators. That seems obvious, but it has horrifying consequences. No cooling meant no way to preserve meat, dairy, or fresh produce for long. So everything they took with them either spoiled, rotted, or turned into a breeding ground for disease within days. The staple of a pirate diet was something called hardtack. Sounds harmless, right? It wasn't. Hardtack was a dry, rock-hard biscuit made of flour and water, baked until it was nearly indestructible. It could last for months, but it came with a catch. After a few weeks at sea, hardtack became infested with weevils, tiny insects that laid their eggs in the biscuit and crawled through it by the hundreds. Pirates would break open their biscuits and shake out the bugs, or they'd just eat them anyway. Protein is protein, right? The worst part? Hardtack was so hard, it often cracked teeth. Some pirates would soak it in water, beer, or even urine to make it soft enough to chew. Imagine that, eating bug-infested bread soaked in whatever liquid was left in a filthy barrel. But hardtack was just the beginning. Pirates also ate salted meat, usually beef or pork. It was heavily salted to keep it from rotting too fast, but that didn't always work. After weeks in the humid heat of the Caribbean, the meat would become slimy, moldy, or maggot-filled. It wasn't uncommon to open a barrel and find the meat swimming in a foul-smelling brine, with worms crawling through it. Still, it was food. Pirates would scrape off the worst of the decay, boil it, and hope for the best. If they were lucky, they could stomach it without vomiting. If they were unlucky, well, food poisoning was just another part of life at sea. As for vegetables, almost non-existent. Fresh produce spoiled within days, and pirates had no access to farms or markets. That meant no vitamin C. And no vitamin C meant scurvy. Pirates' gums would swell and bleed, teeth would fall out, wounds wouldn't heal. In the final stages, they'd die in agony. And it wasn't rare. Scurvy killed more sailors than combat ever did. Some tried to fight it with citrus fruits, if they could get any, or by chewing on herbs. But most pirate ships just didn't carry anything green. There was no space and even less priority. They wanted gold, not greens. And then there was the drink. Water, contrary to popular belief, was almost useless. Stored in wooden barrels, it would turn slimy, stink like swamp water, and grow algae and bacteria. Pirates often refused to drink it unless there was nothing else. Instead, they turned to alcohol, especially rum. Rum was cheap, strong, and didn't spoil. Pirates drank it straight, mixed it with gunpowder, or combined it with stale water in a desperate attempt to stay hydrated. Drunkenness wasn't just tolerated, it was expected. In fact, rum rations were part of the daily routine. But constant alcohol, combined with rotten food, malnutrition, and heat stroke, led to a body that broke down quickly. Pirates were often bloated, toothless, jaundiced, and on the edge of collapse, even before they ever stepped into battle. Occasionally, pirates came across a port or raided a ship with fresh supplies. That was a good day. They might eat fresh bread, meat, fruit, or vegetables. But the feast never lasted. Within days, they'd be back to worms, salt, and rot. Some pirates fished to supplement their diet, if they had time. Fish was fresher, but not always safe. In warm waters, fish spoiled quickly and could contain parasites. Shellfish could be poisonous depending on the season. One wrong catch could kill half the crew. And remember, there was no doctor on board. If you got food poisoning, no one pumped your stomach or gave you antibiotics. You either got better or you died in your own filth. Then there was cheese. Sounds nice, right? Pirates often brought hard cheeses like cheddar or parmesan on long journeys. These were more durable and provided some fat and protein. But like everything else, they grew mold, attracted insects, and developed an ammonia-like odor over time. Still, pirates scraped off the mold and kept eating. There was no such thing as a picky eater on a pirate ship. Then there were other so-called delicacies, including dried peas, old onions, and beans. Dried legumes could last a while, but were hard to cook without proper equipment. Pirates might try to boil them over fire in a swaying ship, and usually ended up with a pot of half-raw, half-burnt mush. Then there were ship's rats. Yes, rats. And in moments of desperation, pirates hunted them. Not because they wanted to, but because they had no other choice. Rat meat was sometimes the freshest thing on board. You can imagine how desperate they must have been to prefer vermin over the meat in the barrels. And if all else failed, starvation. Sometimes pirates went for days without food at all. When storms kept them off course or trade routes dried up, they ran out of everything. Men grew weak, violent, and mad with hunger. There are even stories, whispered, half denied, of cannibalism aboard stranded ships. When a crew member died, well, meat was meat. What makes it even darker is the contrast. These were men who risked their lives for riches, gold, silver, silk. They dreamed of luxury and power, but they spent most of their lives choking down filth and praying their next meal didn't kill them. And yet, somehow they kept going. Pirates adapted. Some even found ways to make it bearable. A few captains were known for trying to treat their crews better, allowing fishing, stopping at islands, hunting for wild goats or birds. These moments of mercy helped keep the crew loyal. But for most, pirate cuisine was survival at its most disgusting. And it wasn't just about food. It was about the body and mind breaking down. Starvation changes people. It weakens the muscles, dulls the senses, makes men paranoid, violent, and unpredictable. So the next time you see a pirate raising a mug of rum and laughing around a fire, remember, that's fantasy. The real pirates were often half dead, eating moldy meat with bugs crawling out of it, praying for land, and wondering if this meal would be their last. What pirates really ate wasn't romantic. It was revolting. And it's one of the many reasons why, despite all the freedom, adventure, and gold, very few pirates lived long enough to enjoy any of it.